HOA tried to ban my kids' treehouse, but the mayor showed up to dedicate it. Take it down. Now, Mr. Reynolds, the HOA president, stands in my yard, face red as a boiled lobster, sweat dripping down his temple. He jabs a finger toward the half-finished treehouse, the wooden beams catching the last light of the evening sun. I fold my arms. Not happening. You arrogant son of a bitch, Reynolds spits. Do you think you can waltz into my neighborhood and do whatever you want? This is a goddamn dictatorship, not a democracy. I smirk. Freudian slip there, buddy. A muscle twitches in his jaw. You don't have approval. No paperwork, no permit, no. Wrong, I cut in, waving a printed email. Your guidelines don't even mention treehouses. I checked. Twice. Reynolds slaps the paper out of my hand. I don't give a damn what you think you found. The HOA determines what fits the aesthetic, and that piece of shit in your yard doesn't. Behind me, my son grips the railing of the treehouse platform, watching. My wife stands in the doorway, arms crossed, ready to drag me back before I get myself arrested. Lower your voice, I warn. There are kids here. Oh, now you care about rules? Reynolds scoffs. Listen, asshole. Either you tear that eyesore down, or we will. Something in me snaps. You set one foot in my yard with a crowbar, Reynolds, and I will slap you with a lawsuit so hard your grandkids will feel it. He flinches. A flicker of doubt. But then, just as quickly, he recovers. He grins, ugly and smug. We'll see about that. Then he turns on his heel and storms off, leaving behind the threat, like a loaded gun on the table. And just like that, the war officially begins. The next morning, my lawn is decorated with 3 fresh HOA violation notices, all taped dramatically to my front door like some mafia warning. Failure to maintain lawn edging. Unauthorized modification of private property. Failure to submit architectural review request. Bullshit, bullshit, and more bullshit. I sip my coffee, tearing each one down with slow, deliberate movements, making sure my neighbors see. Across the street, old man Thompson, who's had an unpermitted backyard shed for years, gives me a sympathetic nod before shuffling back inside. The HOA has its favorites, and new families like mine? We're not on the list. My son tugs my sleeve. Are they going to make us tear it down? I crouch, ruffling his hair. Not a chance, buddy. Because this isn't just about a damn treehouse. It's about control. Who has it? Who doesn't? And what happens when you refuse to bow? That afternoon, a white HOA-marked SUV pulls up in front of my driveway. 2 men in polos step out. One of them is Reynolds, looking smug. The other is a man I don't recognize, but judging by the clipboard in his hands, he's some kind of enforcer. I step onto my porch before they can knock. Back for round 2 already? The clipboard guy clears his throat. Sir, under HOA regulations, all external modifications require board approval. Your structure violates these policies. You have 48 hours to comply before fines escalate. I grin. Which policy? Because I checked the handbook, and I didn't see anything about treehouses. Reynolds steps forward, close enough that I can smell his aftershave, something sharp and artificial. It doesn't have to be written down, jackass. The board has discretion, and we say it goes. I nod slowly, pretending to consider. Got it. So, just to clarify, the HOA enforces unwritten rules? Clipboard guy shifts uncomfortably. Reynolds grins. That's how the world works, newbie. You don't like it? Move. I tilt my head. Have you ever been sued before, Reynolds? His grin falters. Just a bit. Because if you tear down my treehouse, I will take this to court. And trust me, I've already started making calls. For the first time, there's uncertainty in his eyes. A crack in the armor. But then he recovers, snatching a violation notice from his clipboard crony and slamming it against my chest. Tick-tock, asshole. And with that, he stomps back to his car, tires screeching as he peels off. I look down at the notice. $500 fine. Failure to comply will result in escalated enforcement. I exhale, slow and steady. The HOA thinks they've won the first round. They have no idea what's coming next. The next morning, I wake up to the sound of hammering. Not from my yard, but from Reynolds' driveway. I step outside in my robe, coffee steaming in my hand. There he is, smirking like a damn cartoon villain, watching as a couple of contractors install a brand new covered patio. No permit, no review request, nothing. That son of a bitch. I stroll over, casually sipping my coffee. Morning, Reynolds. It's a beautiful day for unauthorized modifications, huh? He doesn't even flinch. Board approved. I bark a laugh. Oh yeah, it must have been one hell of a fast approval process. He shrugs. Some people know how to follow the rules. Translation. Some people know how to kiss ass. I take another sip of coffee, watching his guys drill into the concrete. You know, it's funny. The bylaws say nothing about treehouses, but they sure as hell mention structural additions. Wonder what would happen if I forwarded some pictures of this to the county zoning office. Reynolds' smirk tightens. You do that, and I swear to God. You'll what? I step closer, lowering my voice. Hit me with another bullshit fine? Call in your little clipboard, goons. You and I both know you're full of shit, Reynolds. His hand clenches into a fist. For a second, I wonder if he's going to swing at me. But instead, he just leans in, voice dripping venom. You don't get it. I run this place. You're just another asshole passing through. I smile. Guess we'll see about that. I turn and walk away, taking my time. He's nervous. Good, because I'm just getting started. By the end of the week, the harassment campaign is in full swing. A letter arrives from the HOA. Total fines, $1,500. I slam the letter down. Excessive noise? The neighbor's kids are louder than our construction. My wife shakes her head. And the lawn. Jesus, I saw them measuring our grass with a ruler. Reynolds isn't just playing dirty. He's trying to drown us in fines. That night, I started making calls. A lawyer, a reporter, a real estate agent who's tangled with this HOA before. And then I do something Reynolds never expected. I started knocking on doors. Old man Thompson, across the street, is first. They ever pull this crap on you? He nods, rubbing his jaw. Got fined for my fence being an inch too high. But that prick Reynolds' buddy has a whole-ass deck in his backyard. No fine. The pattern is clear. The HOA isn't about rules. It's about control. I take notes, names, cases, evidence, and I make damn sure Reynolds sees me doing it. By the second week, something shifts. Neighbors who used to just nod politely now whisper to me in the grocery store. They made us repaint our house twice. They rejected my solar panels, but let the Johnsons install a pool. They fined my mom $200 for parking in her driveway. Everyone has a story. The HOA has been screwing people for years, and nobody had the guts to push back. But now people are watching. And Reynolds hates it. I get an email. If you do not comply by Friday, the HOA will take action to forcibly remove the structure. I sit back, exhaling slowly. Reynolds is making his move. Perfect, because so am I. Thursday morning. The sound of tires crunching gravel pulls me from my coffee. Another white HOA-marked SUV rolls up, this time with 3 board members inside. Reynolds steps out first, flanked by his 2 cronies, Karen and Doug, both of whom have perfected the smug HOA power stance. Clipboard guy from last week is back too, looking even more miserable than before. They march up my driveway like they own it, here to deliver another bullshit fine. I ask, taking a slow sip of coffee. Reynolds smiles, the kind of smile that says I'm about to fuck your day up. This isn't a fine. He waves a manila folder in front of my face. This is an official cease and desist order. You have 24 hours to remove the treehouse, or we will. I don't even look at the folder. You must think I'm really stupid. Reynolds smirks. Oh, I know you're stupid. He steps closer. You don't get it. This is done. We will tear it down, and if you try to stop us, I'll make sure you get sued into the ground. Behind him, Karen chimes in, arms crossed. You're an outsider. This neighborhood was fine before you got here. Now it's a circus. Doug snorts. And an eyesore. I shake my head, grinning. You guys are really brave, aren't you? Ganging up on a guy over a fucking treehouse. Reynolds taps the folder against my chest. Laugh it up. You have till noon tomorrow. Then we bring the trucks. And with that, they turn and leave. I watch them drive away, calm on the outside. Inside, I'm already planning how to bury these assholes. By Thursday night, The neighborhood is a war zone. On one side are the die-hard HOA loyalists. These are the bootlickers, the rule worshippers, the ones who think Reynolds is some kind of suburban king. They glare at me from their porches, whispering behind their hands. On the other, the quiet rebels, people who have been screwed over for years, but were too afraid to fight back. Until now. I get a text from Thompson across the street. Heard about the trucks. Need backup. Then another from Sarah, the woman with the rejected solar panels. Reynolds is a snake. My husband's a lawyer. Let's talk. Even my next-door neighbor, an elderly woman named Ruth, walks over while I'm in the yard. She leans on her cane, her voice low. They find my grandson for having his bike in the driveway. But Reynolds' kids ride their ATVs all over the sidewalk. I nod. Sounds about right. She gives me a sharp look. Don't let them scare you. Oh, they're way past trying to scare me. Now, they're trying to erase me. Friday, 11:45 a.m. I stand in my yard, arms crossed, watching as the HOA enforcers roll in. 3 trucks, 2 contractors, and 1 very smug Reynolds. Clipboard guy is back, looking like he wants to crawl into a hole. Reynolds steps forward, holding a megaphone. A fucking megaphone. This is your final warning. Remove the structure or face legal action. I check my watch. You're a little early. Reynolds sneers. Do you think this is funny? I think it's hilarious. I nod toward the road. So does the news crew. His face drops. And then he sees it. The local reporter, stepping out of a van, camera rolling. And right behind her, the mayor's car. Reynolds spins back toward me, panic flashing in his eyes. What the fuck did you do? I grin. I made a few calls. Reynolds stands frozen, the blood draining from his face as the news crew and the mayor step onto my driveway. His hand grips the megaphone so tight I half expect it to crack. Reynolds, the mayor says, casual as can be, like he just showed up for a friendly chat. What's all this? The cameraman swings around, getting a full view of the trucks, the contractors, and the clipboard brigade. The HOA's bulldozer tactics are now on full display for everyone to see. This is private business, Reynolds hisses, voice low. You shouldn't be here. The mayor raises an eyebrow. Private business? Looks to me like the HOA is trying to bulldoze a kid's treehouse. The news anchor, a sharp-eyed woman with a mic in hand, doesn't waste a second. Mr. Reynolds, do you have an official statement about why the HOA is removing a structure that, according to multiple homeowners, doesn't violate any written guidelines? Reynolds snaps. This isn't about the goddamn treehouse. He shouts. This is about control. We can't just let every asshole who moves here think they can do whatever the hell they want. The second the words leave his mouth, he knows he's fucked. Because the news camera caught all of it. My grin spreads. That's funny. I thought the HOA was about keeping things fair and organized. The mayor steps forward, adjusting his tie. Actually, let's talk about fairness. He pulls out a document, flipping it open. According to city zoning laws, the HOA has no legal grounds to order the removal of a treehouse unless it presents a public hazard. The home in question passed every safety inspection. Reynolds staggers back like he got punched in the gut. Oh, the mayor adds, turning a page. And let's not forget the pattern of selective enforcement we've been reviewing. Funny how some people in this neighborhood get fined for things that others don't. The crowd stirs. Murmurs turn into whispers. Neighbors exchange glances. Some of them, ones who stayed silent before, are now realizing how deep Reynolds' corruption goes. He's losing them. And he knows it. Reynolds lunges for the document. This is bullshit. The mayor yanks it back like he's dealing with a tantrum-throwing toddler. You can take it up with the city council if you'd like. Reynolds spins on me, eyes burning. You son of a bitch. You went behind my back. I shrug. You tried to bulldoze my kid's treehouse. Did you think I was just going to roll over? Doug, one of Reynolds' loyal cronies, shuffles backward. Wait, this wasn't legal? Karen's mouth tightens. Reynolds, you said this was handled. Reynolds swallows, looking cornered. His eyes dart back to the clipboard guy. Tell them. The HOA has the right to enforce aesthetic policies. Clipboard guy shakes his head, sweat beading on his forehead. I don't think we do. Reynolds turns red. The crowd starts murmuring louder. People are questioning. The same people who once stood behind him are backing away. And then Thompson, the old man across the street, steps forward. "This isn't the first time you pulled some shady shit, Reynolds," he says, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You made my wife repaint the house twice. You shut down the Petersons' garden project. You harassed the Johnsons over their Christmas lights." A woman in the crowd speaks up. "You denied my solar panels, but let Doug build a deck." Another man shouts, "You fined me for parking in my driveway while your buddy parks on the damn grass." It's collapsing. The entire HOA stronghold is crumbling in real time. The mayor cleared his throat. "Given the evidence, I'd recommend the HOA rescind all pending violations related to the treehouse immediately." Reynolds looks like he wants to kill someone. He opens his mouth, closes it, looks at his board members. And that's when it hits him. He's alone. Karen won't look at him. Doug is staring at the ground. Clipboard guy is already walking away. Reynolds sways on his feet. He looks around at the people he used to control, the people who are done being afraid. He's fucking finished. 5 minutes later, Reynolds is gone. Slipped away before the cameras could catch him. Clipboard guy mutters something about needing a drink and follows. Karen stays, but her arms are crossed, and she's not standing on Reynolds' side anymore. The mayor turns to me. "Looks like you won." I glance back at my son, who's sitting in the treehouse that nearly got destroyed. Damn right I did. The crowd starts dispersing, neighbors talking amongst themselves. Some are still in shock. Others, relieved. I spot Sarah, the woman with the rejected solar panels, grinning. "Hell of a show," she says. "Guess I'll be reapplying for those panels." Thompson chuckles, shaking my hand. "Been a long time since someone stood up to that bastard." I nod. It was about time. The news crew packs up, but not before the anchor turns to me. "Any final words?" I glance at the treehouse, the mayor, my neighbors, the ones who found their voices today. Then I grin at the camera. Yeah, fuck bullies. The next morning, the neighborhood feels different. For the first time since moving here, I step onto my porch without feeling like I have a target on my back. The air is lighter. People walk their dogs with less tension in their shoulders. Then I saw it, an email from the HOA board. I let out a slow breath, letting the words sink in. That son of a bitch quit. Then a second email pings in. This one from Sarah, the lawyer's wife. I laugh, shaking my head. Of course, the coward ran. A knock at my door pulls me from my thoughts. I open it to find Karen, the last remaining member of Reynolds' little dictatorship. She looks different. Gone is the smug, holier-than-thou expression. Now she just looks tired. "I need to talk," she says. I cross my arms. "You're either here to apologize, or you're wasting my time." She exhales hard. "I didn't sign up for this. Reynolds, he pressured us. He told us if we didn't back him, he'd make our lives hell. And you just let him." She winces. "Yeah, and that was wrong." She glances at the treehouse, still standing tall. "We screwed up, but I want to fix it." I study her for a long moment. "Start by making sure another Reynolds doesn't take his place." She nods. Already in motion. For the first time, I believe her. By the end of the week, the HOA is unrecognizable. Gone are the random fines, the bullshit citations, the feeling of walking on eggshells in your damn yard. People are talking to each other again. Hell, Thompson even invites me over for a beer. "I still can't believe the bastard's gone," he mutters, handing me a cold one. I smirk. You know, I half expected him to burn the HOA office down on his way out. Thompson barks a laugh. It would have been the first time he did something entertaining. A group of neighbors walk past, waving as they go. "Hey, treehouse guy." I shake my head. "Guess that's my legacy now." Thompson raises his bottle. "It could be worse." Yeah, it really could. That night, as the sun sets, I find my son up in the treehouse, flashlight in hand, flipping through a comic book. I climb up, settling onto the wooden platform beside him. "Comfy?" I ask. He grins. "This is the best thing ever." I look out over the neighborhood, the place I've fought for. The place that finally feels like home. And for the first time in months, I feel at peace. Weeks later, I get a call from the mayor. "You know," he says, We've been getting a lot of emails about the HOA situation in your neighborhood. I raise an eyebrow. Good or bad? He chuckles. Depends on who you ask. Some people think you're a hero. Others think you're a pain in the ass. I grin. Both can be true. He laughs. Well, either way, it got me thinking. HOAs like yours exist all over the city. Power-hungry, corrupt, run by people who think they're untouchable. Maybe it's time we did something about that. I lean back in my chair. Are you looking for a troublemaker? More like an advisor. Someone who knows firsthand how these power-tripping boards operate. I glance at the treehouse, standing strong, and I realize this fight? It's bigger than just me. I take a deep breath.